What's up, you guys? Adam here with Anabolic Climbing, checking in for week 2 of the mini cut, where we're running Retatrutide and SLU-PP-332. So, how's it going? How's the weight loss? How am I feeling? We're going to get into all of that right now. So, if you look over to the right, my peak weight going into this mini cut was 167.4 pounds. That was after about 6 months worth of bulking, going up from about 154. And if you take a look now, we are hanging out at a cool 162.2, dropping 5.2 pounds in less than 2 weeks, which I am pretty over the moon about. So now that we see some really quick weight loss really quick, let's talk about how I did it, how I'm feeling. Are there optimizations that I could make or that you could potentially make? And just some feelings about where we're at so far just for this mini check-in. So first things first, what does my diet look like? Currently doing about 200 grams of protein a day, doing some shakes, some yogurt, some chili, just keeping really light food, and definitely a little bit hungry in the first week when I was taking 0.2 milligrams of Retatrutide every other day. Then, when I bumped the dose for week 2 to 0.3 milligrams every other day, and I haven't taken the third dose of 0.3 yet, the food noise dropped substantially. I have had some overnight oats, a protein shake, and a spring roll today. It's almost 7 o'clock, and I'm still not all that hungry. I'm going to get all my calories in. In general, I think you should be dosing so that you're not hungry, but that you can still eat. Getting nausea or tons of gas is not good. But yeah, looking cute, feeling cute, definitely noticing that so far. So let's start talking about how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling, and some tweaks that you guys could potentially make. Cardio has gotten dramatically better. As I talked about last week, I was kind of huffing and puffing my way through the plyometrics, and plyometrics are going super easy and super fast right now. My knees and hips are really enjoying being a little bit lighter. I definitely felt I was really feeling tight just on the bulk for so long, and the range of motion was kind of down. Now I'm feeling a little bit more loose, which is great. Number 2, still making progress in the gym. Block pulls are up. I'm doing 120-pound pulls, which isn't a max on my block pulls. Pull-ups are still feeling good, still feeling really strong on my deadlifts. Even in spite of losing about 3% of my overall body weight in 10 days, hasn't affected climbing performance really at all. Fingers feel honestly better now than they have in a while. So that's great news. As far as steps, I have not been crazy diligent with it. Having done a bodybuilding prep in the past, I am not nearly as militant as I was back then. On this particular cut, I would say that this is like 85%, 90% intensity, but I'm still letting certain things slide that I would never have done on the cut back in the day in my 20s. I'm doing between 7,000 to 12,000 steps a day. I'd say my average is probably around 8,000 or 9,000, which is a little bit higher, but not all that much. If I were being super militant about this, I would track every macro and I would be weighing it, and I would not go under my steps. And I'm being a little bit laissez-faire on this. I think I could have easily lost more weight if I were being absolutely militant about this. I could even cut more calories if I were being ridiculous. I just don't see a reason to just yet. Honestly, things have just been going really, really smooth. I'm enjoying the better cardio. I've been enjoying the lack of hunger. And to be making this much progress in under 2 weeks feels a little surreal, to be honest. This is far and away the easiest cut that I have ever experienced. If I had to guess how much of this is the Reta versus how much of this is the SLU-PP-332, probably 90% Reta, 10% SLU. SLU definitely feels like a cherry on top compound, but I also feel like they could like force multiply each other. and that there is a really good synergy in here. As far as the mood being better and the mental clarity, I have heard this from other folks on Reta. I didn't really experience much of that on SLU when I ran it back in Japan. And yeah, I'm actually going to do a projecting session on Monday. So look out for that. There are a couple of V5s I want to test, and that would be my first V5 on the kilter. The main goal for this mini cut is to just evaluate tolerance. Part of it is just trying a new flavor of ice cream that is Reta. And when I go ahead and try out Font and Rainbow Rocket next year, I'm going to do a mini cut going into it. So I want to see how quickly I deplete, how I feel in a weight cut, how easy it is to do, and how to prep for it. So once I have everything locked in, I'll know what it needs to take and how much weight I need to lose to be at my optimal in terms of power. Being 10 or 11 days in right now, I would say I easily could lose over 10 pounds over the course of this cut, but 10 pounds seems to be the anticipated goal. I think I could keep losing over a pound a week for the next 1 or 2 weeks, and then I expect things to slow down a bit. Unless I do something drastic like cut even more carbs and fats from my diet. I don't want to go below 200 grams of protein a day just so that I could hold on to as much muscle as possible. And I don't know if I'm going to go full clip for 2 weeks of the diet or just one. I'll see how I feel when I get there. As long as energy is up and I can comfortably cut the calories, I'll try just to evaluate tolerance. And, it's just a test to see how my body is going to handle the cut. As far as, cosmetically, you could definitely see the weight loss. Lower abs are coming in pretty substantially. Lower back is losing some fat. I still have, if I had to get stage ready, I probably need to lose about 20 more pounds. So I could cut another 10 and still be somewhat comfortable. I might be knocking on single-digit body fat at another 10 pounds down from where I'm at. And, to be 155, 152 on a 5'7" frame, that's big for a climber, but that's kind of where I'm trying to be right now. So, so far so good. Just to sort of, put a bow in everything right now. I think this is kind of the beginning of chemical warfare for climbers. And, I hesitated posting much on Reta because eating disorders are so common in the space. But I also want to acknowledge the tools for being what they are. In general, you could absolutely run Retatrutide without a testosterone base. I personally don't recommend it if you are a climber because I think the temptation to over diet is going to be really high, and you want to hold on all the muscle that you can and all the strength that you can. You could potentially run SLU-PP-332 without a test base. I don't advise anyone running it, or if you do, it's at your own risk. You can go off of my labs, you can go off of Vigorous Steve's labs, you can go off of the various biohackers that have tried it, but there is no human data on this. So even though, a few of us have tried it and had clean labs and our organ imaging looks good and we're losing weight and all of that's cool, I would love to see a human study outside of just the psychos that are trying it for funsies. But you can make that decision for yourself. You're an adult. That said, don't do drugs unless they're from a doctor and all of that good stuff. I am not your doctor. With that said, Retatrutide, going to be game-changing for climbers. SLU-PP could potentially be super game-breaking for climbers. If, and this is a major if the human data looks as good as the lab rat data, it's one of the only compounds I could think of that would work really well for boulderers, lead climbers, and big wall climbers. The cardio impacts are noticeable. And, I'm curious to see what the grip strength difference is going to be at the end of this training block, especially being in a calorie deficit. But man, it's definitely making the workouts feel a lot easier in this period. So I'm pretty stoked on it. There's going to be another weight loss check-in next week. I'm I'm going to continue to monitor strength changes on this mini cut. If I start losing strength, I will absolutely report back if I've over dieted or not. But yeah, right now, super smooth, big chillin'. And also just taking off a couple pounds and then just pulling really hard just feels a lot easier. So definitely feel like for me, it was the right time to make a mini cut. If you're out there and you're doing a large bulk and then you're kind of on the fence because you put on all this weight and you don't necessarily want to lose the size, there is definitely some serious upside to feeling lighter. Anyways, guys, appreciate the time. This is Adam with Anabolic Climbing. Stick around. The tests will continue, and have a great day.